The views expressed in this episode are those of the guests and not necessarily those of myself and the Tristen Law Show. Welcome everybody back to the Tristen Law Show. This is episode 5, where I introduce you to personalities in and out of the professional wrestling business. And of course, I am Tristen Law. Hey, the unique part about this show is that you don't have to be a wrestling fan to enjoy this podcast. So just sit back and relax and allow me to take it from here. Again, welcome to episode 5. But did you currently know that you're listening to a 5-star podcast on Apple Podcast? Well, now you know, and if you haven't rated or subscribed to the Tristen Law Show, well, you can do it before this episode ends. You still have time. This episode, you're going to be taken on an adventure as I'm going to introduce you to pro wrestler Cory Kastle. We talk about the movie he's in with Halle Berry. Yes, that Halle Berry. We talk about his OnlyFans account. Yes, the brother has an OnlyFans account. We're definitely going to go into that. It's interesting. Make sure you stay tuned for that part. And we're going to talk about his life after brain surgery. And of course, much, much more. Before I get to Cory Kastle, I want to thank you for coming back for the 5th time, because this is the 5th episode. If this is your first time, well, welcome to the journey. When I get back, I'm going to take you on a journey as I introduce you to Cory Kastle. I'm Tristen Law, and this is the Tristen Law Show. Don't go anywhere, because I'll be right back. Hey you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. That shirt you're wearing is so not cool. Why don't you head on over to TristenLawShow.com and get yourself a new shirt. Not only will you be cool, but you'll also be supporting the show. What are you waiting for? Go now and get a hat too while you're at it. Thank me later. We're the show at TristenLawShow.com. Welcome back, everybody, to the Tristen Law Show. That's right, I told you I'd be back. What, you think I was going to go someplace else? Well, like I promised, I have my next guest here with me. He's a comedian, he's a movie producer, and an actor in such films such as Bruised, which is directed by Halle Berry and premieres this September at the Toronto Film Festival. Hey, with almost 19 years of in-ring professional wrestling experience, he is the host of the podcast Evolving with Cory Kastle. Living in Philadelphia suburbs, he is Cory Kastle. What's going on, Cory?
Dude, thanks so much for having me on here. I mean, I really appreciate that great intro that you gave me.
I mean, all those things were true. You know, you are a comedian, you're a movie producer, you live in, you represent Philly. Like, it was a lot. Your resume is very long, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't say anything that wasn't true. Hopefully, the people who listen to your show are willing to put the effort into figuring more junk out about Cory Kastle.
Hey, it could be like a whole entire scavenger hunt. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't take you that long. You could watch my short film that just came out 4 weeks ago on YouTube. It's only 15 minutes long. It's called Bruce. It's one of my favorite things I've ever done.
We are definitely going to get into that because, man, you have so much things going on with you. Being a product of Philadelphia, right? I need to ask a question because I've never been to Philly. Do not kill me. But who has the better cheesesteak, Geno's or Pat's?
Honestly, those are neither one of those are my go-to. Honestly, most people just go to the pizza place around them. They just call the pizza place around them, get a cheesesteak to come to them. That's the best way. The best cheesesteak is usually a place you don't know of. I represent Pat's because my friend Josh worked there his whole life. He gave me a Pat's King of Steaks shirt that I still wear everywhere I go. But I cut it up like this because I'm a meathead. I cut all my shirts like a meathead.
So you're talking about cutting the sleeves off.
Yeah. So I have to, honestly, I would probably say Tony Luke's would probably be the best place.
One day I'm going to make it down to Philly and I'm going to try Geno's and I'm going to try Pat's. at the same time. I think for me, one of the most popular things about wrestling is food.
Well, just come over to my house. We'll have a little hang sesh, and we'll go take a little trip to South Phil.
Don't threaten me. Don't threaten me, because when I show up, we're going to eat.
That's fine.
Because you're a body. You look like a body guy. I'm not a body guy. All right. I like to eat.
You could be fooled. You could be fooled by my cut shirt.
So, dude, you're an actor. You're a movie producer. You're a pro wrestler. You're a podcast host. I'm sure I forgot something in there. The same question everybody asks me, I'm going to ask you. How do you find time to sleep?
Oh, dude, I love sleep. Sleep's amazing. I'll find time.
You see, for me, I feel like I'm always running at a sleep deficit. Like right now, I'm definitely at a sleep deficit. So, like, I take little bird naps every now and then. Oh, no, cat naps, not bird naps. I take cat naps.
That's what we're going to call them now, bird naps.
Fine. You know what? Yes, I'll take a little bird nap every now and then. And I wake
bird
up.
Naps.
Hashtag I took one before we did this.
I was like passing out before I got home. Like I was in my car and I pulled in the driveway and I was passed out.
So I've done stand-up comedy once in my life. I had a friend who was scared of going on stage at open mic night, and he said, "Tristen, if you go up there, I'll go up there." So I did, and I told a few jokes and got off while I was still ahead. How did you get into stand-up comedy?
I used to work at a place where there was open mic nights on Tuesday or Wednesday. It was at Dave & Buster's in Northeast Philly.
Really?
There was a open mic night, and I always wanted to go to it. But I was under 21, so they wouldn't let me in. So I started writing bits for me to do an open mic night, and then they stopped doing the open mic night. So then I just gave up on it for a while. So I didn't get on stage till 2008. I went up at a open mic at Helium Comedy Club, which is one of the biggest well-known comedy clubs in Philly. But that was my first shot, and it was like once I got that first joke out there, I was like, all right, this is for me. I'm doing this all the time now. I'm here for it.
Once you popped the crowd, you got addicted,
right,
huh?
Exactly.
Tell me about that first time. Were you nervous? Like, what was going through your mind when you decided that you were going to go do stand-up comedy?
I had so many notebooks. I had so many notebooks with scribblings in them, like stuff that I would say that would make my friends laugh, things that I would say that would make strangers laugh, like new people who just met me. I had my bits that I'd go through. And then I was like, you know what? I've collected enough bits. I'm going to an open mic night.
So who were your comedic inspirations?
My comedic dude, Mitch Hedberg. Number one, Mitch Hedberg. Do you know Mitch Hedberg?
No, I don't know Mitch Hedberg.
Write that down. Write down the name Mitch Hedberg, and you must do your research on Mitch Hedberg. I said Mike Birbiglia was a big one for me. Dream Get on my podcast. I mean, I don't have anything. My podcast isn't as popular as him, so he wouldn't pay me enough attention to do my podcast. But Mike Birbiglia. Daniel Tosh, surprisingly, was a big inspiration to me. Mm-hmm. I was a big fan of him before he was Tosh.0.
Right.
Dane Cook was a huge inspiration to me. I love Dane Cook. The only stuff that I didn't like was the stuff when he talked about sex stuff. I just never liked that.
Right.
I'm never a big fan of raunchy stuff when it came to comedy. So
what kind of jokes do you tell?
I throw in some puns. I throw in some dad jokes, some corny stuff. I've been doing this thing recently. I'll just tell you what it is.
Go for it.
I've been saying, can we continue? Can we just all agree that we're not going to compare ourselves to anybody else anymore? Obviously, we're different. We're all very different. You see a person and you're like, they got a really nice car. They got a really nice house. They got a really good body. That means they must have all their stuff together. They must got it all figured out. But the way I look at it, birds.
Yeah.
Some of them still get hit by cars. They got the entire sky. Not everybody's got it all figured out, bro.
That is so true. I had a bird yesterday trying to come through the window. He was flying into the window.
Right.
But you got the whole sky. Why are you aiming at my window?
Right, exactly.
Well, I was trying to take a bird nap.
Still get hit by cars. You got the whole sky, bro. What are you doing?
Oh, Corey, I watched the short film Bruce, which you produced and starred in as the main character Bruce. Listeners, it's a fan film for the DC Comics character Batman, if you can figure that out. Listeners, if you haven't watched it yet, I have my social media team post it on our social media platforms for your viewing pleasure. Just head on over to TristenLawShow.com for our social media links. But, Corey, give my listeners the details surrounding Bruce.
So here's what I normally do. Before I get into talking about it on any podcasts, I always say, if you're listening to this podcast, pause it right now, and it's going to be only 15 minutes. So watch the short film, Bruce, and then you can come back and we'll talk about the spoilers. I'll count down from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The idea behind Bruce was we kind of got with the Joker. They gave us like an alternative origin story.
Yes.
To that iconic character. But we haven't had one like that. For Batman himself, we hadn't had one. We're like, let's do something that's not been done. Let's make Batman as messed up as Batman should be. As messed up as Bruce Wayne should be, let's mess him up even more. Because the Bruce Wayne that you see on all the movies, he's a pretty well put together guy because he was raised by Alfred. In this story, Alfred is the hired killer that kills his mom in front of him. So Alfred screwed up his life. He doesn't have that moral compass. Bruce Wayne, and honestly, I don't really talk about how it's Bruce Wayne or it's Batman that much because it's a spoiler. We don't want to advertise it as such.
Right.
He's covered in tattoos. Obviously, I'm not, but we made our Bruce covered in tattoos. He dates a tattoo artist, and for the sake of if you really dig hot alternative chicks, my girlfriend plays my girlfriend in the movie.
Oh, really? That's who that is?
That's my girlfriend, yeah.
Yeah.
And she looks amazing, and I'm very proud of her amazing performance. She did such a great job.
Were those shooting tattoos or working tattoos for her?
For her, those were a shoot, but for me, they were a work.
Okay.
My tattoos were a work. Hers were a shoot. We had the character of Lena, which is Selena Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
So we had her be his sort of voice that he can fight in, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then the inner demon that he was struggling, that Bruce is struggling with.
Right. The inner monologue that we heard through the whole entire movie
takes over and makes him tell her off, which makes her then turn into a female Joker as the giveaway at the end.
Uh-huh.
After the credits, we got that scene where she's turned into the Joker, but it's Selena Kyle as the Joker. But all of that is to say, we wanted to kind of take this story that's been told a zillion times and flip it on its head and tell it in a way that's never been told before.
You see, that's actually, I'm glad that you said that, Corey, because when I watched The Joker, and I am a proud member of the AMC A-List Club, I go in and I watch all the movies just to watch them, and I saw The Joker, and after the end of that movie, I was like, the Joker is not the villain. If it was told from somebody else's eyes, like we normally see it, the Joker is the villain. So I actually started, before I actually saw this, the short movie Bruce, that you did, where you produced and acted in, I said to myself, what if the whole entire time we've been looking at the whole Batman story through Batman's eyes? He's putting himself over and making everybody else look like the menace when he's really the menace and everybody else is trying to stop him.
I was just listening to, do you listen to JR's podcast?
Yes, the one with Conrad?
Yeah.
Yes.
He was telling a story about Steve Blackman telling him off once. Did you hear that?
No, I didn't hear that one yet.
So, you pencil effed me. So I think that Joker has been pencil effed by Bob Kane.
Yes. Because if you don't know, and that made me start thinking about different things too. Like for me, I like when I teach newer wrestlers psychology and listeners psychology in professional wrestling, it doesn't make sense in the real world when you do it in the ring. And one of the things, Corey, when I teach psychology, I use The Lion King to teach psychology. And I started thinking about the story of The Lion King. And I started thinking about, what if Scar wasn't really the heel, if he wasn't really the bad guy? What if Mufasa and his people were the bad guy, but because we only know the story of what they told us about Scar, Scar's really the good guy. Those are just the ways, ever since seeing The Joker and seeing your movie and you explaining it like that, I'm like, wow, like, it's all in the eye of the beholder.
I have a very similar aspect on psychology, ring psychology. A lot of what you're saying really is on the same page as me, because like when I say in my teachings, my seminars that I'll do when I'm teaching psychology, I'm like, there's a level of, you're doing this because you believed you could do it. When you're in this ring, let your face show us that you believe you belong here. If you're the bad guy, you believe you're the good guy. When you're the good guy, you know you're the good guy.
Right.
It's really, a lot of those lines are pretty blurred these days. It's something I've learned, I've come to call, and I've coined the phrase on my wrestling podcast. My wrestling podcast is called Wrestle Rock, RASSLE, Wrestle Rock. We do that on a weekly basis with my best friend Rick Connor, who used to wrestle in CZW as Rick Feinberg back in the day. I call it the new normal. I call it grayfabe.
Not kayfabe, but grayfabe.
Yeah. You can use it. You can use it.
No, man, that's yours, brother. That's yours.
Just shout me out when you do.
All right, I'm about to say, hey, grayfabe, coined by Cory Kastle.
Right, exactly.
So I know that Bruce was a Batman-inspired film, but gun to your head, Batman or Superman, who's better? Why?
I think Superman is a cheat. Saying Superman is like, it feels like you've got all the codes and you're playing with all the codes in a video game. Playing with other kids when you're a kid, you're like, shoot at somebody and you're like, no, I'm Superman. It's like, man, Superman, get out of here, man.
Right.
I have to say Batman every time. Not just because I helped develop Bruce, not just because I produced Bruce, not because I just played Bruce. I just have always had, like, when I was a kid, I had a Batman chalkline jacket. I rocked that till the wheels fell off.
You see, for me, I think that I like that Batman. I think that Batman is better, in my opinion, as well, too. I am not like a huge comic book fan, so like I can't really talk about comic books, but I can tell you about what I know. And what I do know is that I think that Superman is a punk bitch. Like, if he just, how do you have so much problems with Lex Luthor? In the blink of an eye, you can have Lex Luthor sitting on the dark side of the moon and nobody will ever notice that he's gone. Like, just get rid of him. Why do you have that problem? But you have Batman, who is like super smart. He's like a normal guy like me, you and I. And he just, he works out a lot more. He's got better abs than I do. But like Batman,
who needs him? Who needs abs?
I mean,
really?
Who does need abs?
You don't need them.
They're only for show.
I mean, it'd be cool to have them, but like, honestly, it's not going to make your girlfriend like you anymore. I say this all the time about abs. Abs make you look hungry.
You're right.
Eat some food.
Eat a burger.
Enjoy yourself.
Go to Five Guys and get the double.
I'm a huge fan of Dax Shepard's podcast. Do you ever listen to that?
No.
Dude, check out Dax Shepard's podcast called Armchair Expert.
Dude, I'm sitting here making a whole list of things you want me to look at. Definitely. I'm going to check all this out.
Armchair Expert. He did an episode with Kumail Nanjiani. Kumail Nanjiani and Rob McElhaney, who played Mac on It's Always Sunny.
Oh, I love that show.
They did a whole episode about men's bodies. And they were talking about like how much more miserable of a person they've been, like getting their bodies look the best way that they do. I know for a fact, because of listening to that show, Kumail's like, yeah, Emily doesn't like me when I'm like that. Like, my wife isn't more attracted to me at all. If I was super buff and jacked up, my girlfriend probably wouldn't like me anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, she likes me the way I am.
I could say when I was like in great shape, when I first started wrestling up in New Jersey and New York, about 8 years ago, I was an asshole because, when people made certain foods, I wouldn't eat their certain foods because, it wasn't like that. I would go to somebody's house for dinner. I'm like, yeah, I can't eat that. I brought my own food. Like, yeah, that's really dickish. So I see your point. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. One of my favorite shows. If you have not watched it, listeners, I urge you to check out It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, especially if you have an evil personality.
Yeah, it's on FX. You can watch every season. It's a good time.
Bruce, the film debuting at the 2020 Toronto Film Festival, starring and directed by Halle Berry. You're credited as fight security in Bruised. What can you tell us about this movie? I
can tell you almost nothing, except for the fact that she's an MMA fighter. Her name is Jackie Justice, and I'm one of the security guards that walks her to the octagon. That's all I do. I met my girlfriend on that set. That's where I met Carly, the girl who played Lena in Bruce.
Oh, look at that. Full circle.
Yeah. We did Bruce, then Bruised. The other way around.
What's Halle Berry like in person? Did you get to interact with her? Did you get to talk to her?
We didn't really talk very much, but I had to, honestly, here's the thing. And I feel really bad. I feel really bad for it. She had her social media guy come up to me and was like asking for my number and stuff. And I was like, look, I like this other girl on set a lot more than you. Sorry, you're the second prettiest girl on this set. I mean, if it was any other way, maybe we could have this conversation if she wasn't on set here, but I had to turn her down. But she was very nice.
Wait. Cory, you turned down Halle Berry? I mean, I get why you did, but like, that's a free pass. Maybe your girlfriend could be like, okay, well, Cory, I understand. It's Halle Berry.
But she wasn't my girlfriend yet.
Oh, so you had your eyes set on your girlfriend.
Yeah. I had to make sure that I was only going to be with one of the girls who was on the set of that movie. and I was putting the work in on the blue hair girl.
Right. But not Halle Berry.
Not Halle Berry. Dude, honestly, she's such a hard worker. Halle Berry is amazing encourager. Like she's got such an amazing work ethic. She's in incredible shape. She's as gorgeous as she's ever been. I mean, Halle Berry, if you're a man, you've probably had a crush on her your whole life.
Confirmed.
Most heterosexual males have had a crush on Halle Berry their entire life.
Preach.
And I'm one of them. Yes. And I walked her to the octagon, and she smiled and laughed the whole time. She was so nice.
Well, Cory, I am glad that you turned on Halle Berry.
Here's the thing, though. She's not going to listen to this show.
You never know. Maybe somebody will say, hey, this guy Cory Kastle talked about you on the Tristen Law show.
I talk about people on my podcast all the time, and I know they're not listening. Here's the thing. My dream guests on my podcast, I'll put them out there. Maybe they'll listen. Maybe they'll listen to this. The dream podcast guests on my show, Chris Jericho, number 1. Pete Holmes, Duncan Trussell, Aubrey Marcus. You guys are listening to this, and you think, hey, I want to talk to this guy about making myself a better person or life lessons that I've learned. Absolutely. Come on my show. Hit me up on Twitter.
I would like Enzo Amore on this podcast.
Enzo is incredibly underrated, for sure. If he didn't have that rape allegation, he would be one of the biggest stars in the wrestling business right now.
Yes, because he has so much charisma and personality. My mom always says, speak into existence, so they will be. So, Cory, speak it into existence. Those people will be on your podcast. Yes.
I like to look at it this way. I challenged them to accept my DMs and write back to me.
Are your DMs open?
I've tried all of them. I've gone as high as you can go for sending DMs to people who might do it or not. So I try to get Oprah. I try to get Delilah. I try to get The Rock. Those are all dream guests too.
Right.
But I challenge you to write me back.
I challenge them to write you back as well too, because I'm one of those guys that I don't wish, because I'm doing something that you're doing or we're in the same exact field, I don't wish that I get better than you and you get left in the dust. I want everybody to eat. So, hey, Rock, if you're listening, I know you just got the XFL. You might have a little bit of extra time on your hands, so please jump on my man Cory Kastle's podcast. Why not? Looking at your IMDb profile, I noticed that you were also in the movie The Wrestler starring Mickey Rourke. How important was or is that movie to the professional wrestling business?
More important than me in that movie, for sure.
Because you did have an uncredited role, but you were in there.
I think they cut my scene. It was like, in the movie when he's like when everything gets dark around him and he just falls, he has a heart attack.
Was that when it took place in New Jersey where he wrestled at the BWO building?
No, it was it was right after his match at the ECW arena.
Okay.
He wrestled Necro Butcher, and then he got in the back, and then he passed out.
Yes.
In the movie, what actually happened was like he was in a dark room all by himself, and he like passed out and had his heart attack. But they shot it a different way where we were all around when it happened, and we like tried to help him. So it's funny, like when you watch the movie back, he says, everybody said I felt like a sack of potatoes, but nobody was in the room when it happened. It was a cool experience. I got paid $50 to fall asleep in the ring at the ECW arena.
You know what's funny? Before I moved up to New York, that was a movie. That's probably one of the last movies that I watched before I moved back to New York from Florida. And I did not know that I would actually know half of them, the majority of the people in that movie. The first scene in The Wrestler where they're taking apart the ring, that was in Garfield High School in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And that's where I had my first ever wrestling match in 2009, July 2009. And
was that BWO?
That was for BWO, yes.
Okay.
And
I worked for BWO back then, 2009 probably, 2008, 2009. I worked there. I just did like spots here and there. It was like Montoya had me come in.
Okay.
I worked with like, I did one match with like Chrono Chris and Keikoa.
Yep.
And I think I did one with like Vinny the Fixer. Mm-hmm. So I did a few spots here and there at BWO. I
worked with Chrono Chris. He became Sebastian Cruz. Yeah, he doesn't work anymore. I think he's like a cop in like Florida or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah, but I remember he was the one that I took the belt off of.
I liked him. I liked him a lot. I thought he was a great guy.
He's a great worker as well too.
I have nothing bad to say about Chrono Chris at all.
How did you get into the pro wrestling business?
This goes back to 1998, the pinnacle of the Attitude Era. All three companies, ECW, WCW, and WWF, were all the hottest thing in the world. There was a tag team who came out of the Monster Factory. I'm not going to say their names because they don't deserve the press, even though they're not going to hear this. They had a wrestling school in Bristol, PA, which is actually where the Ring of Honor school used to be. Now it's a cheeseburger school, the Worldwide Dojo. It wasn't that same building. It was a different building in Bristol, PA. There was an article in the newspaper. Where they were training children my age to be pro wrestlers. Me and my friend Scott saw that article and we both went. Like, it was the summer before 9th grade. Yeah, when I got there, I mean, I was there for like, I want to say 2 years. 2 years on and off. If I can pretty real and gross about it.
Be it.
They would abuse us. So I got some of these scars on my arms because they just would hit us with kendo sticks all the time. My friend BJ, who was like my best friend at the time, he said, "Don't hit me with the fucking stick." The dude whacked him right in the head with the stick as soon as he said it. So he went outside the building, kicked the air conditioner unit of the church that was having a Little League baseball game go on at that moment. So the cops came, the whole place got shut down, and like we got kicked out of it. They continued to run, but didn't have us. So we were off for a couple months. And then my friend's mom started having sex with the guy, and they let us back in. So it was my 15th birthday. I got brought back in because my friend's mom was having sex with the guy.
Well, I hope at that time they weren't hitting you with kendo sticks anymore.
Oh, no. So I was there until I met this guy, Discount Dewey Donovan. He was a manager at CZW at the time. Mm-hmm. I met him before he was ever a manager at CZW. He asked me to come to the CZW school. And when I got there, the guy who's now my best friend, has been my best friend since forever. I was in his wedding. Rick Connor, the guy I host Wrestle Rock with. We started gelling and I started riding with him. And we started going there all the time. I mean, from the time I was 16, I was started training at CZW Wrestling Academy under John Dahmer and Eddie Valentine.
I wish that I was able to get into wrestling when I was like 18, 17, 16. You know, I see a lot of young kids, you know, getting into it now. And I'm like, man, you guys are so lucky. I didn't start wrestling until I was 21. 22, 21, that's when I actually started wrestling. So, you know, I want to be those people that say, oh, well, you know, I've been around for the longest, but I can't But, everybody makes their time for everything. But I'm actually glad that it actually worked out for you. Hopefully he gave you a discount as well, too.
Because the discount's in his name? No, John Donner was running the school. Mentor of mine, like for sure, somebody I still talk to pretty often. My trainers were like father figures to me. I didn't have a dad. So my trainers taught me lessons about who to be as a man. And I give that credit also to Nick Burke. I give a lot of that credit to everybody who was in CZW at that time. Trent Acid, Justice Payne, Johnny Cashmere. They kind of took me under their wing for a little while. And I mean, I was only a teenager.
Mm-hmm. I remember hearing about CZW right when I was getting into business at 2007, and that's when like YouTube was a thing. And I was always saying, man, one day I want to be a wrestler, but I don't want to do CZW wrestling because I was always afraid that is not my style. I think that the ultra violent style of professional wrestling, that's for a certain kind of person. It's not for everybody. It's not for me. It's not for me. But was that something that you were able to get into? Was that something you liked?
No. I mean, I didn't mind watching it. I thought it was interesting storytelling, but it was something I never did. I never did deathmatch wrestling. It was never my thing. I didn't gig until I'd been doing this for 13 years. If you see this little scar up here, you see it. It's still there. I did a barbed wire baseball bat match in 2015. Mm-hmm. That was the bloodiest thing that I'd ever done. I don't do that stuff. It's not my. I don't do like tubes. I don't do thumbtacks. I've never done that stuff. The most I've done is just the barbed wire stuff, and I've done table and chair spots.
Right.
Tons. I was just recently telling a story. This like indie legend around here, New York Indies. Do you know Big Slam?
Yes, didn't he just pass away?
He just passed away. Yeah.
Yes.
I did a show for him in South Jersey, and like I'm gonna have to say this is probably 2007, 2008, something like that. He paid me in pizzas. He gave me 2 boxes of pizza as my payday.
Were you okay with that?
I guess I had to be at the time. But I remember taking an unprotected chair shot to the head on that show for 2 pizzas.
Oh man, you see, for me, I've never gigged. When I started becoming like good at wrestling, and I say quote unquote good because I don't want to pat myself on the back, and that's for other people to tell me that I'm good. But when I became good at wrestling, that's at a time when WWE wasn't using blood anymore. So I'm like, why do I need to juice in order to tell the story? But don't get it wrong. I have hard weight. I remember wrestling in Brooklyn. I was wrestling this street fight with a guy, and I hit him with a trash can, but the trash can like sliced me right here in my pinky finger, and it looked like it was a crime scene because in New York there's doctors. You have to see a doctor and all this other stuff. There's a doctor standing by. So when I got out of the ring, the doctors and the EMTs are running over to me. Are you okay? Are you okay? You cut a blood vessel. I'm like, no, it's a superficial cut. It's a cut like just the skin is off. But it's bleeding so much. Yes, because I was wrestling for 15 minutes and my heart is beating. That's why blood is squirting out so much. Let me relax. I'm trying to tell this to the doctor. Let me relax and you will see that my hand is okay.
Like, there's not a lot in it for you to do blood. Me telling you that story, that barbed wire baseball bat match, I got opened up so much they took me to the hospital. I never got paid for that show.
Damn.
I never got paid for that show, and then I got hospital bills I got to pay, and they never reimbursed me at all.
Right.
Like wrestling companies are shady. Like, they be shady folks, yo.
Yes. There's been times that it's been time to get paid, and I go into the locker room. This was back in the day. That's one of the reasons why I left wrestling, because wrestling stopped being fun. I'm like, if I'm out here doing a craft and I'm busting my ass, and I always work as the heel, and if I'm getting your baby face over, and by the time I come back to the locker room as the main event, hey, where's such and such promoter? Oh, he's gone already. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
I shouldn't have to track you down for what we're doing as performers. And I want to get back to the thing you said, because you said it's up to you to tell me that I'm good. It's like the programming our generation had of being humble and humility is now in quotes these days. It's still like people are humble in quotes because we were taught to not like mark out for ourselves.
Right.
But this generation are nothing but marks for themselves.
Right.
I don't take mark as a derogatory word.
I agree.
I absolutely think that mark's great. I think that being a mark, I'm very proud of it. That's evidenced by the fact that I have a podcast where I just talk about AEW and WWE, NXT. Like, Wrestle Rock is not about me being a wrestler, but I do have what's considered a seasoned opinion about professional wrestling.
Right.
An expert opinion. I've been doing this my whole life. So I have the right to speak on it as somebody who has the expertise.
Right.
The thing I was saying, it was like promoters and the people who get into this business are almost like they convinced somebody that they were more valuable than they were when they convinced them, and they had money when someone else didn't, and that's how they got a spot, or that's how they got it. It's pretty maddening. And wrestling, dude, we're really risking our lives.
Yes.
So like I was telling you that those guys that opened that school that I worked for, they used to hit me with the kendo sticks and stuff.
Yeah.
They ran a show local to here, dude. Because I want to help my hometown. You know what I mean? I want to draw my hometown. Like, who doesn't?
Right.
Who doesn't want to pop their hometown? I've gone in the habit of getting paid before my matches. So I'll go up to them before my match and say, I did this a couple years ago. And this is why I said I won't say their names, and I'm not going to put them over any, because I said, dude, I'm never coming back here.
Right.
Because I said to them before my match, which I had worked out a lot of the spots in the match, and I was looking forward to the match. And I said, can I get my pay before the match? And they went, how many tickets did you sell? I was like, do you know what year it is? This don't work like that no more. I'm sacrificing my life and my body. I'm a brain surgery survivor who has WWE paychecks in my house. You're going to pay me before I go out there and risk my life, because this is not the way the business works anymore. It's time this breed of carny fucking expires. It's a business built on the backs of carnies. I think wrestling as a whole needs to just stick its head in the mud for a while.
A lot of things that you were saying, a lot of people will not be able to relate to it unless they're in the wrestling business. One of the things that I was always taught, and I never forget going into Bubba's office at the end of a training session and going, hey, Bubba, how am I doing? He goes, let me tell you something, kid. You don't need to ask me if you're doing good. When you're not doing good, I'm going to let you know. Stop chasing the hug, you Mark. You got it, sir. You got it. And I turned around, I walked out. But when it comes to the whole payday part of wrestling too, though, it is what we negotiate. So like if somebody thinks that their life is worth a hot dog, then go do the hot dog and do whatever it is that you want to ring. But you stated that it's what you want and it's what you deserve. And you put a price tag on yourself. And I respect you for telling them that, hey, you know, I need my fee before I get into the ring. Because yes, you are a brain surgery survivor, and I want to talk about that as well too. And you've got paychecks from the WWE. So who the hell are they to tell you that you're not worthy? You are a brain surgery survivor. God bless you. I'm so glad that you're here talking to me right now. How has that changed or helped your professional wrestling career?
It's changed almost everything, not just wrestling, everything. Like my relationships that I have with people. In wrestling, it's funny because I said when I was being like wheeled into the operation room, I was like, once I come back to wrestling, I'll be the only one who's done it this way. And when I come back, I'm going to be a whole new standard. I'm not going to work for people I don't want to work for. I'm not going to take shit I don't want to take. And I'm going to be a whole new standard. And then I came back to wrestling and I called myself the new standard, Cory Kastle, because it was like, well, I for sure need to put my safety, quality of my career first, because if I let somebody else take the driver's seat, they ain't gonna put my priorities first.
And I like the fact that you said that you are the new standard, because even though you're using it in a working sense, it's shoot. Mm-hmm. It's shoot, like you said.
Yeah. Right, shoot.
Who were your favorite wrestlers growing up?
Chris Jericho, Shawn Michaels, Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle. I was really into the technical styles of Chris Benoit. Might be a sin to say.
No, I mean he's the wrestler, not the man.
Yeah, Chris Benoit in the ring, best that's ever done it. I loved Bret Hart. I love his matches with Michaels. I dissected Wrestling with Shadows like crazy when I was a kid.
In your opinion, what is the most important thing in professional wrestling?
Fun, dude. I think fun. It's got to be fun to watch. It's got to get your attention somehow. Like, you know what's not fun currently?
What's not fun?
The Raw Underground. That's not fun. That's not wrestling.
You didn't like Raw Underground?
That's dumb. I hate it. I hate it so much.
For me, it was different. It was different. It perked my ears up a little bit. And I'm like, oh, what is this? What's the biggest misconception of pro wrestlers?
So do you mean people who don't know wrestling and think about wrestlers, or people who do know wrestling and think about wrestlers?
Any way that you want to answer it.
The misconception is that we all think we're cool, because a lot of us have these personality gaps that we're filling with the validation we get from the ring. We're chasing the hug. We're marks. We're in wrestling because we're marks. We're chasing the hug. We don't think we're as cool as we present ourselves to be. Like I for sure have, and going back to the 6-pack abs, I had crazy 6-pack abs when I was young. That made me cocky as shit. It's, sometimes perception is reality. Like I bought into that. We're sort of the bait, we're sort of the bait that we bite into. Mm-hmm. So the amount of people that you trust and you keep in your circle says a lot about who you are. So people need to do probably a little less assuming when it comes to pro wrestlers. And the thing is, dude, most of the people that I know in my real life don't know any other wrestlers.
You're right.
And most of the people I know in real life don't know what podcasting is.
You're right. You know how many people I have to teach podcasting in order for them to listen to this show? My mom does not listen to a podcast, but she wants to listen to this one. And I had to teach her how to listen to a podcast. She goes, oh, maybe I can find it on Hulu. I said, no, you can't find podcasts on Hulu. That's my mother. Shout out to her. That's
the huge thing that I always say. And huge shout out to your mom, really. She's done a good job, dude. You're a great guy.
Thanks, brother.
The thing with podcasting is that it takes an incredible amount of effort for anyone to consume this material.
Yes.
But it's like the currency that is your effort and your attention is so appreciated by me, because not only am I competing with your other things that are on your TV right now, but everything is on the internet. Everything, anything at all. I'm competing with Candy Crush, Words with Friends. I'm competing for your attention. So me getting that attention, if something comes out of that might change your day, and then I feel like this is kind of what I was born to do, to be able to change someone's day. Even if I'm doing these podcasts at the moment, I've got 190 episodes of my podcast up on all the platforms. It's all going to outlive me, dude. You're
right. That's our legacies.
If I change someone's day 50 years after I die, what a legacy. What an amazing thing. Like, what an achievement. If at this point, let's say, like, I get 10,000 likes on a podcast, and it's not a lot, right? So I die, nobody till somebody kills you,
right.
And then it pops up to millions, and I've just changed millions of lives. I've changed millions of people's lives and outlooks, and I want to inspire folks with the fact that I still have this mind after I've become the new standard. I could have took that moment where they went, well, you have to have brain surgery. You might have to stay here longer and learn how to read and write and walk and talk all over again. And I went, I'm going to be out of here in a week, and I'll be back in wrestling this year. I was home in 3 days. I was back in the ring in 6 months. It's not about the things you hear. It's about how you perceive those things. I think a lot of times, a lot of the people in the world are so used to only reacting to their world and don't become a deliberate creator in their existence. So we're so used to like this happened, so I had to do this. This happened, so I had to do that. Instead, you make something happen first.
Boom. You should be like a motivational speaker.
Well, I mean, that's one of my dream careers. Yeah, it's something I've always wanted to do. I mean, I became an ordained minister this past year because I wanted to have another thing that I could offer as a service. Because I constantly tell people that I love to be a resource where you didn't know you didn't have it. You know, if you feel like you need some judgment-free conversation, anybody listening to this, I'm not hard to get a hold of. If you feel like you need some inspiration, and maybe my podcast can do that for you, maybe give me some of your attention. I love to have the ability to offer you my services. And if I can offer somebody like, yeah, well, we're quarantined right now. We were going to get married. But then quarantine happened. Well, we can do a virtual one. I could probably do that. It's another cool service that I can offer to people universally at your service.
That's one of the things that I like to do as well, too. I like to come from a place of contribution to where I like to help people. Like, I sell houses as well, and, I podcast, and people ask me all the time, hey, can you help me with my podcast? Sure, I can help you with your podcast. I can help you become better. I was just teaching my sister the other night how to, do graphics because she doesn't know how to do graphics on Photoshop. So, you always got to come from a place of contribution to where you can help somebody because, you never know when somebody needs help. All right, let's go this way, Cory. If you can work for any top-tier professional wrestling company, AEW, WWE, etc., which one would it be? And I know that you've already worked for WWE. I know that in an extra format. But if you can have a job there, where would it be?
Probably Impact. Because it's so under the radar that they probably give you more creative freedom, I'd imagine. Mm-hmm. I mean, realistically, that's probably where I belong. Probably there. I have friends everywhere. I don't think I have friends at Impact. I don't think I have enemies there either. I don't have many enemies anywhere, really, honestly.
You see, for me, I was actually thinking about that same question the other day. I'm like, where would I belong? And I think at this point in my life, I'm probably not what WWE is looking for, but I would like to do something like, for me, I'd be okay being like a Brooklyn Brawler type dude where I'm going and I'm putting somebody over every week. I'm okay with that because I'm still living the dream to an extent. Do I want to main event somebody's pay-per-view and be the champion? Hell yeah, you'd be an idiot if anybody would say that they wouldn't do that. I want to make that top money. But I know my role, and I feel like I fit better in Impact or AEW.
I think the way I look at it, too, is I don't really want to be on the road. I don't really want to be taking bumps every day. I think wherever I'd come in, it would be like, well, this is Cory Kastle, and we know him from this. Not like, let's build this character here. This is somebody we already know, and we're bringing him in as this person. That's ideally how I'd like to do it. Or like, if I get as good as I want to get at comedy, have that be the other direction.
If Impact or any other top tier wrestling company owner right now is listening, sell yourself to them. Why Cory Kastle, and what does he bring to the table? I
know that I am super marketable. I know you ain't ever had a motherfucker like me. I know that. I know it. I've never seen one like me. I've never seen me represented in any of the stars that you've got. So, like, here's the thing. I think I'm okay at comedy. I think I'm a good actor. I think my podcast is great. I know that I'm a good wrestler. There is a whole confidence that I've had to feel inside of my gut, make sure I carry myself in a certain way that I have to pay that forward. I've been a secret for too long. My marketability, my character, my ideas, my storylines. I've booked territories. I've booked indie companies. I've written shows. So not only can I do a bunch of other things and over deliver in the ring, I feel like I shouldn't have to jump through any more hoops.
When I first started wrestling, if I was to go to any top tier company, the only thing I could offer at the time was, well, I can work. I'm still new. I'm green. I can work. But, I sell cell phones for a living. But now, at my ripe age of 34, almost 35, for me, I feel I bring a lot more to the table. Like, if they said, hey, Tristen, we don't want you to wrestle, is there anything else that you can offer us? Hey, I could host your podcast. I can edit your podcast. I can create your graphics for you. So I feel that younger wrestlers should be looking to boost their marketability as they grow older in the business. What do you bring to the table? Yeah, okay, fine, you can wrestle, but everybody else wrestles. But just like you said, they ain't no motherfucker out there like you. You know what I mean? You bring something different to the table. I never forget standing around, and I wish I can go back and tell myself things like this now. I went to a Ring of Honor tryout seminar like in maybe 2013, and standing around the room with everybody else too as well, we're all wrestlers. So what am I offering them besides wrestling? I'm no different than anybody else standing in the room. Mm-hmm. So now at this day and age, I realize those things, and I try to tell that to younger people. And I'm glad that you said that, because I feel like you and I have a vibe together. It's all right. Yeah. We need to work in the ring someday.
Okay.
I'm the heel though. You're over.
I've been saying, man, like throughout the quarantine, is like for the last 2 years in this business, I've had like 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the ring. When this quarantine ends, either I'm hanging up my boots or I'm buying new boots. As my friend walked in the room, he said, "New boots." He's a worker too, man.
Oh yeah?
You know Grey Wolf?
I've heard of that name. Maybe I could put Grey Wolf on here one day.
Okay.
We'll talk.
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll talk.
For sure. But yeah, man, I think I have a lot to offer, and I feel like everything someone's tried to put me in has tried to put me in something like that's for kids, and I'm an adult. I'm a man.
You're a grown ass man.
I'm a grown ass man.
That's right.
I'm 36 years old, so I'm also a pretty angry vet. I don't pull my vet card very often, but I know I've been my entire adult man life in this business. So like I never took any long breaks. Some people come up to me and they try to act like they're tough or they're better than me because they can do a Hurricane Rana or amazing dives.
Great.
Cool.
Great.
Cool. You ain't done what I done. Whether it's companies that matter or not, I spent years in this ring entertaining these fans while you went off and did some other bullshit that wasn't involved.
Cory, how do you include your stand-up comedic skills, your acting skills, and your ability to host a podcast and everything else that you do into Cory Kastle, the wrestler?
Oh man. Well, in the last 2 years, I've tried to do a thing where I'm being conscious of my bump card. And, people who don't know what a bump card is, every time we hit this mat, every time we take a fall, every time that stuff accumulates.
Yep.
That stuff accumulates. It's not like it just happened and then it didn't happen. You feel the effects of that for a while. So I've incorporated a lot of character in what Cory Kastle is. And this is what I've been doing for the last 2 years. So, the show Rick and Morty?
I love Rick and Morty, dude. I just started watching that in the quarantine, and I watched the whole thing. I love it. Love it.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things in existence.
Yes. Amen.
So Cory Kastle always has an alternative universe version of Cory Kastle with him. So Cory Kastle has these VR shades, the VR headsets.
Yeah.
That I've hollowed them out, so it's not that. So I'm conjuring other universes using this sacred djembe.
You should play it while you tell your story. Go ahead.
The other reason I have this, the other reason I use this, and I started using it on the podcast. I mean, I've been using it in sacred ceremonies and circles, prayer groups for years. But I started doing it on the show because it is what I want to consider another consistency that is me. So the drum beat is as consistent as me trying in this world to make a difference. So I'm going to continue to beat my drum until someone goes, wow, do you hear that drum? Did you hear that drum beating? You know what? I need to pay more attention to what's going on over there. So it's a metaphor. It's very meta. I want to make sure other people know that we all deserve unconditional love. We all deserve happiness. We all deserve to have every single thing we want. That's why when my friends come to me and talk to me about a podcast, I absolutely will help them because we are not in any competition with each other.
That's right.
My perspective is my perspective. Your perspective is your perspective. We're going to have different shows. We're going to have different vibes. We're going to have different opinions on things. And that's what the world needs. The world needs for you to have to find a voice and use it. So use your voice. Show everybody that you ever come in contact with, you know, we can make differences in this world by only listening and learning and then teaching.
What do you want your legacy to be? Because I mean, obviously, we all check in, and one day we got to check out. So when you check, when we check out, what do you want your legacy to be?
Oh man, I don't know. I want to be able to make sure that everybody who knows me and loves me feels that I've been genuine the whole time in my humorous attempts at teaching you lessons.
Who is Cory Kastle?
Cory Kastle is a persona that I made up circa 2001. Remember I told you my friend Scott? Yes. My friend Scott and I started going to wrestling school when we were 14. Mm-hmm. He told me we were going to be a tag team, and I was going to he came up with the name Rufus Kastle. I wanted my first name to be Rufus, like from Bill and Ted. Mm-hmm. That was George Carlin's character in Bill and Ted. I wanted that to be me. And Kastle was from The Punisher, right? Mm-hmm. So then when I wanted to debut in 2002, I wanted to do like a Derek Zoolander male model gimmick. Mm-hmm. So I changed the Rufus to a C name, and I changed the Kastle to a K. So it would be CK like Calvin Klein. Mm-hmm. The stupid male model, Cory Kastle. So I give a lot of credit to my friend Scott. He put me on that approach.
What's next for Cory Kastle?
I'm going to just keep beating this drum, man. I'm just going to keep beating this drum. I'm going to keep doing this podcast until I'm dead. Like, that's the plan. I plan on continuing to do Evolving with Cory Kastle until I can no longer evolve. And I'm never perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. No one I know has ever been perfect or will ever be perfect. Mm-hmm. So I will continue to grow and change and figure things out to make myself a better version of myself tomorrow than I am today.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey, Cory, I appreciate it. I appreciate the time that you've given me today. Hold on. Before I forget, What are you doing on OnlyFans, Cory?
Oh, dude, my girlfriend's on there, right? Uh-huh. My girlfriend's on there, and like she only posts no nudity, right? No nudity at all.
Right.
But like she got on her first day like 40 fans that are all gonna pay her like $11 a month.
That's not bad at all.
She's kind of a fit woman.
Right.
She's really hot. Like you've seen her.
Right. In the movie Bruce that you could find on YouTube.
And I was like, well, I think women like me, maybe I'll put one up and see if I get followers and fans, because unemployment hasn't come through for me. And I'm the brokest I've ever been. Mm-hmm. I'm throwing myself deeper and deeper into credit card debt on a daily basis. Mm. So if you look at me and you think everything's going good because I have nice shoulders, I have to tell you this. You know birds?
Yes.
They got the whole sky.
They still get hit by cars?
I'm just trying to help me get some rent paid. I got zero followers on there. I just post like shirtless pictures every day and no one sees them.
Well, put your OnlyFans over. What is wrong with you? Go ahead, put it over right now so I can hear your OnlyFans.
It's just Cory. It's just type in Cory Kastle on anything. Twitter, Instagram, CoryKastle. And if you check it out on if you go on to Google, just look up Cory Kastle on there. I know you've already done it.
Yeah, I Googled the shit out of you so I can know who you are. Because we've never formally met. We've probably been in the same room together, but we've never formally met.
Very likely. It's very likely that we've probably met, but didn't. It was just ships passing in the night.
Well, hey, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to Cory Kastle. Cory, it was so cool having you here. If you're looking for Cory Kastle on Instagram, or if you want to Google him on the internet, it's Cory with a C and Kastle with a K. Hey, Cory, I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me today. And I mean, I hope that you get some OnlyFans followers. Listeners, stay tuned. Do not go anywhere because I want to give you a reaction on this amazing interview with Cory Kastle. And I want to tell you who will be joining us next week here on The Tristen Law Show.
Be fun, have safe, keep evolving.
Hey, it's your pal Tristen, and I need your help. Hold on, wait, don't touch anything. I'll make it quick so you can get back to the episode. See, I do the Tristen Law Show because I like to create content and episodes for you to like and to entertain you as well. Since I probably don't know you personally yet, I want to get your feedback on this podcast. And yes, if I know you personally, I want your feedback too. Head on over to TristenLawShow.com and take the anonymous listener survey. Engage the show because your input matters. Now, back to the show. Welcome back to the Tristen Law Show, and I am Tristen Law. Thank you very much to Think Nasty for Batting Practice featuring your boy Beto. If you want your music played on this podcast, type on over to TristenLawShow.com and contact the show. There are plenty of times, though, during this episode that Cory had me laughing so hard, man, I had to mute my mic. Did you think he was funny? But wasn't he inspirational? The guy went through brain surgery, and before going under the knife, he knew that he was determined to make a comeback and be better than before. I want you to as well to check out his short film, Bruce, especially if you're a comic book fan or you like Batman in general, you like DC Comics. Check out that video. I think you'll like it. The link will be posted on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Tristen Show, or just type on over to facebook.com or open the app on your phone, just type in Tristen Law Show. You should be able to find it that way. You can also find the link in the description of this episode. Next week, I'll be back, and obviously I will not be alone. I will introduce you to a football player and a newer face to professional wrestling. He's Ray Pittman, he's hungry, and I think that you will like him. Don't forget, though, if you're listening on Apple Podcast, to subscribe, leave a review, and rate the Tristen Law Show 5 stars. You know, if you can give it 6, give it 6, but 5 is the highest that you can go. The reason why I want you to rate me 5 stars and leave a review and subscribe is because it helps Apple and my team know that you really liked what you heard. And the best part is that it's free. It's not going to cost you any money to do it. I know you may not have listened on an Apple device, but wherever you listened, go ahead and subscribe. And if you can, no, not if you can, I'm telling you to tell a friend, because I'll be waiting for them and I'll be waiting for you next week here on the Tristen Law Show. But thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you really, really liked this episode, because I know I did. You can find out much more about myself and the Tristen Law Show at TristenLawShow.com. I'm Tristen Law, and until next Wednesday, adios.